Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 10 Minute Marvel. Today we're going to be talking about the first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again and the news and rumors, of course, as always. So, I'm the Matt Murdock of this law firm, Petter, and my Foggy Nelson
Oh,
co-host.
I th I
You
th
can't say anything.
I can't, and I'm not going to spoil it this week because we haven't talked about it. We haven't considered this spoiler section. So, I'll just I thought you were going to totally say in the Karen page to
I considered that as well.
I was like, okay, I can. Oh my God, there's a message. Um, sorry. I thought that was coming, and I would have been like, all right, that's cool. I'm attractive. Suck it.
Excellent.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for coming back. We obviously appreciate it in our odd, weird way. Yeah, let's let you know how you can figure how to find us. There we go. I'm obviously tired, and I was selling this better before we started. It's kind of been a long weekend, and you're gonna hear some probably pretty stupid things come from my mouth. So enjoy that, everybody. That aside, if you're looking for ways to support us, you can find us on our YouTube channel. Search 10 Minute Marvel there, please, on the YouTubes. Give us a like and thumb smash that subscribe button because that is always appreciated. Find and follow us on Facebook and X. And of course, you can leave a rating and review wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from. Petter, what are we
Yes.
doing first? Are we doing the news? Are we going to do rumors? Are we going to talk more about me being Karen Page and attractiveness?
I mean,
What more is there to say,
I know.
really?
Well, also, that could just be the whole podcast right there.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes.
That's
I was going to say we could just talk about your attractiveness for an hour,
oh,
but
well, that's to go without saying.
mhm.
Yes.
But we've said it now, so
And
I
it's a
apologize.
podcast. It's a
Yeah.
podcast. We don't have this on video, so
I
we're gonna have to be really
apologize.
descriptive.
Yes. We're going to kick it off here with rumors. First off, this one popped up today from Insider Fandom that the next Fantastic Four trailer is going to be coming April 4th, 4/4. So, honestly, that seems likely.
Little on the nose, don't you think?
Have they ever not been on the nose
Yeah, right.
with theirs?
F
So,
F4,
because February,
4-4.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, only makes sense. Why not?
hmm
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's kitschy. It's all those things.
Yeah. Well, I believe it's, I want to look this up because I think they've been doing this for a while on the X account for Fantastic Four. Every day, every Sunday at 7 p.m. And that is like the tweets that they've put out, only tweets they put out since February 9th at 7 p.m. is the clip of we make a point of having a family dinner Sunday at 7, no matter what.
That's pretty cool, actually. I kind of like
Yes.
that because it sticks to the theme of family. It's
Yes.
repetitive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good goof. And just yeah, one of those like you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's just fun.
Yeah.
Um, ooh,
Uh, I think, oh, what? You got something?
oh, I had something that popped up that I was hoping I could find again. So I found
Oh,
it again. Good job,
oh,
me.
good. Good, good. Um, I'm excited for this trailer because I want to know, obviously I want to know more about but I want to see more. I want to see if how much they're gonna add. Is it gonna give us a little bit more detail on things going on?
I
Um,
think, yeah, my guess is what we're going to see for a second trailer here. It's going to be mainly stuff that's in like the first third of the movie or even less. We're going to see the Fantastic Four facing off against some villains, not Galactus, but kind of see Reed's efforts to like they come out as superheroes to help and support Ben Grimm. I think that would be a fun trailer.
yeah. Do you think we'll see maybe some more about that one guy, the John Milkovich character?
Man, I maybe.
Um, or Teo Leon, right? Is that right?
Yeah, we haven't
Yeah.
seen Taya Leon and we haven't seen Julia Garner, Silver Surfer.
Yeah,
So we
so
might get Silver Surfer in this one too. Uh,
yes.
so the thing that I was like, ooh, thank goodness it popped up. This ties into a rumor from the Insider. Jeff Snyder talking about who Marvel may be considering for Beast, and Jesse Plemons, uh, potential actor for Beast. If you're not familiar with Jesse Plemons, which I can tell from Greg's look, he
He's
is
my
not.
neighbor. He's my
Yeah.
neighbor. It's fine. I know him.
So I know your first question is going to be how old is he? He
It
is
doesn't.
36.
Okay. But I was going to actually interrupt a long time ago, but
Yes.
when you called me out on that, I was kind of interested to see what you had. Um and it was a fair point and good call out. But I'm wondering, I thought I mean, Kelsey Grammer really then.
Kelsey Grammer's multiversal Secret
Sure. Okay.
Wars. Yeah.
Yep, I forget. We're gonna probably see different versions of
Yep, in
this
the
beast.
MCU. Yep. I'm trying to track down the roles that you may know Jesse Plemons for the Battleship movie.
Oh, not starting on a good note here. It seems
Uh,
like not
uh,
off to a great start there.
Game Night, which is actually a
Oh,
fun one.
actually, I have not seen that. Would like to see it. That's Jason
Mhm.
Bateman, I believe, right?
Yes, Jason Bateman. Who's the full cast on that one? It's fairly irrelevant here, but Jason Bateman, Kyle Chandler, Rachel McAdams,
Yeah,
Michael C. Hall.
yeah. I've heard that's really actually a good. And so, okay,
Yeah.
stepped it up a notch. Good job.
hmm And then The Irishman, the
Oh,
3 hour long.
yeah. The where they de-age everybody
Yes,
really intensely.
yes, that one.
But it won a lot of awards, right? I think. Or it was nominated, maybe. I
No,
thought it was nominated a bunch.
it maybe had a few nominations, but it was, I guess, nominated for 10 Oscars. Yeah, uh, there must be another one that I'm thinking of where it was kind of panned, but yeah, nominated for 10. I don't think it won
I
any.
think I think Scorsese, isn't that a Scorsese film? I think he won for
Yes.
Best Director. I thought maybe that was a, maybe not.
2020. I don't know. I can look this up here. No, Parasite.
Parasite.
Parasite. I'm pretty sure that director won for Best
Oh,
Director.
I thought Scorsese finally won something like after
No, no. The Bong
he's
Joon-ho
mm,
won. All
for
right. Anyways, we're going off the rails there.
bring it back. Here we go.
Oh, great. And now
You started
I
it.
I lost what I was looking at here. So it's what it basically is a list of potential um like the current rumors for who would be playing X-Men characters. So I
Mm.
need to track that down if I can again. But wanted to kind of have that conversation about who all is on the list and just 100% cannot find it right now. So let me check one last spot. Makes great podcast content, I'm sure.
I
So,
can talk about my looks some more.
but that's true. We haven't spent enough time on that yet. But yeah, so just that's just the next one for there. How about Hawkeye season two? Did you see the rumor for that plot?
I did, and
Do you want to
I
talk?
don't. So the plot, I only saw like a headline on this one. I didn't really
Hmm
read into it, but it sounds like they were trying to mimic some Die Hard action where
Yes.
Jeremy and Kate, well, Jeremy Renner
Clint.
and yeah, so I got to choose which side I'm going to go with here.
Yes.
Clint and Kate, we'll do that way.
Yep.
Um, might be trapped in a building
Yes.
and need to somehow get out.
Yeah, with a group of
So
assassins after them, the assassins led by Clint's brother.
now, when you say that, it actually sounds really fun in a way, but it is Die Hard again,
Yeah,
and we've seen that in the special presentation that they did. No, was that special presentation or that was that What If?
the what if.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was What If. You're right. Um,
what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas?
right. It's kind of yeah. So.
It feels a little similar, yes.
But at the same time, I do like it sounds fun. And
Hmm
that's I don't know what else you do with them. I mean, it gives them a chance to work together, right? It worked
hmm
and be really innovative with what they have. So
hmm
I don't
I
know. What do you think?
it, it could be fun. It falls into that category of like Hawkeye was not a show where I was like, oh man, I really want another season of it. But if they're gonna do Christmas, Die Hard nod to it, and then I'm sure put their own twist on it, sure, that
Right.
could be Could be a good time.
It kind of feels like it's like an Ant-Man, but in the
Yeah.
Hawkeye world, right? It's kind of the
Yep.
same thing. It's a heist of some sort, but
Well, heist,
it's
not
it
necessarily heist, but
not
it's,
this not
yeah.
this, but like that's what Ant-Man usually does, whereas
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here it's
So
like somebody's after them. Like
yeah,
somebody somewhat ground levels after them, and all Clint wants to do is just get home for Christmas.
yeah.
Which, you know what? If they put that out and say they film it later this year and it comes out Christmas 2026, sounds fun.
I mean, honestly, at that time of year, he just
Yeah.
wants to get home to his family. It's like Home Alone. It's
Yeah.
like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's got that vibe to it, and who doesn't love that?
Yeah, it's like you have a chance to be cliche with it, and you have a ta chance to do kind of a parody, satire type of those things.
Yeah,
Because you can imagine that if they wanted to, they could mix in Home Alone type stuff when you have two archers.
yeah. Oh, that is true.
That like if they even if they don't do it this time, if they want a third season, yeah, give us Home Alone
Right.
version where it's villains are after Clint and Clint and Laura are gone. And so Kate's babysitting the kids at home and she and the kids have to defend against some villains. Like
Which,
that would be amazing.
right? Or you could just tie it like kind of tie them together and do adventures in babysitting, where they are in the house for a certain time, and then they're also roaming around the city, and she's and Kate's trying to keep track of all the kids, and
Mhm.
I'm telling you, man,
It writes
you
itself.
it does, and I am there and watching for that.
It's the great thing is Hawkeye, kind of like Ant-Man, is one of those where it's like, sure, be goofy with it,
Yeah,
have lighthearted fun
right.
with it.
Bring Elizabeth Shue back for this. I want to
Mhm.
see. That's sorry. That's an Adventures in Babysitting
Yeah,
reference. That's the kind of thing I grew up with, and
yeah,
that movie I think I watched 5,000 times because it
yeah.
was awesome.
Can you
And it does have
imagine?
Thor in it. They talk
Mhm.
about the little girl loves Thor in that movie.
Can you
So,
imagine if they do Home Alone and it's Macaulay Culkin acting as the villain?
oh, that would be kind of good.
That would be hilarious. Like that would be
Yeah,
that's kind of like the Kevin Bacon showing up
right.
in Guardians this
Yeah.
holiday special.
Kieran
So
Culkin could show up too, you
yeah,
know.
they could be the two
Yeah.
two guys after him.
And I'd love to see Kieran Culkin like drink a little soda and then give it like a little eyebrow raise, like he's gonna pee the bed, you know?
Yep.
That all right.
All right.
Wow.
So
It is tangent night, everybody, on 10
yeah.
Minute Marvel. It's gonna be a long
But
one.
but in all fairness, that was a really fun tangent to go on
Sure was.
because I think that if they do if they want to, they have an idea for a long time, just like every couple of years, do another Hawkeye
And just
Christmas thing.
yeah, just
Like
base it off of
Christmas.
a Christmas
Mhm.
movie of some kind.
Yeah. Speaking of Ant-Man though, brilliant segue.
Yeah.
Ant-Man 4 is rumored to be a movie that they would be considering after Phase 6 is done.
Interesting.
So after Secret Wars.
Oof. Yeah. I don't know. I I'm always, I'm up for some Paul Rudd more. I just
Yeah,
don't and Evangeline Jolie. No, Evangeline Jolie. Nope, that's not her name.
Evangeline
Evangeline
Lilly.
Lilly. There we
But
go.
she has quit acting right now.
Oh, that's right. Good for her. So, Hope Van Dyne not around.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I guess still, I don't. It doesn't make me like super excited, but I
No.
would be. I feel like when Marvel, in this case, they would have to have something pretty spectacular
Hmm.
based on Quantumania's outcome and
Yeah.
what they know that they have to. It has to land. This one has to land and has to land really well. And so I
Yes.
think they will step up to the plate for that for sure. They're not going to put out just a half-ass movie, I think,
Yeah.
for an Ant-Man this time. So, yeah, sure, why
Yeah.
not?
Hmm. It's to me, it's the interesting thing because like I'm looking at the list of movies we're supposed to be getting uh, more of. Black Panther 3.
Thor.
Why? Yeah, Thor 5 potentially, Shang-Chi 2, and Ant-Man 4. That's a fair amount of non-X-Men stuff.
Yeah,
But again, these could just come out after Phase 6 is done. And it's not like we're going to have all four of those movies in 2 years and those take up all the movie slots. It could be, yeah, those are going to be the four movies that we see for 3 years,
I
plus
mean,
then X-Men stuff too. And something like Shang-Chi, I think could still drop like the same year as a Secret Wars movie.
I mean, it seems like they're going to be using the old cast, right? The old Avengers and the old cast that surrounded the Avengers. They're sticking with what's comfortable and what sells. It kind of feels like they're still treading in those waters. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, we have X-Men, like you said, and coming up. But what makes me just, are we ready to move on from these characters like Ant-Man? Do we need to tie the bow
Yeah,
on this, right? On that stuff and move into X-Men and then other Avengers, or is or do we keep rolling with, Thor and Ant-Man and Captain, all those?
yeah. So
That's a
I
big
th
question.
that is a
So,
big question, and maybe that'll be a question that we answer coming up here after, well,
yes.
a number of weeks with Daredevil to
Yeah,
talk
maybe circle
about.
back.
Yeah, I'm gonna add it to our topic idea list.
That might be like a good one when and if there's like well, there's not going to be much of it. Well, there might be a couple weeks throughout the year that we
Yeah,
are, obviously trying to scrape together a topic, but so
yes.
it, let's pin
We'll
that
table
one.
that, but yep.
Yep.
Final rumor is that Moon Knight is not going to be in Doomsday or Secret Wars, but will be in an upcoming Midnight Suns movie. This rumor from the Cosmic Circus.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting Moon Knight to be in there. So,
He does feel kind of very, very left field at this point.
mhm.
And
Yeah, until you get or until you get Blade, until you get maybe see more Dane Whitman, or we revisit Werewolf by Night
mhm.
and Man Thing and Elsa Bloodstone.
Yeah. Did like Avengers even know? Does Sam Wilson even know anything about Moon Knight? Like it's
Probably
been
not.
no tie-in, right?
Yeah,
So it kind of makes sense, but you'd think it's call all superheroes kind of
right.
situation when it comes to Secret Wars, but
Yeah, but
whatever.
If Jake Langley's the personality in charge, uh,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think you call him.
Right. I think you let that one just
Yeah.
you let him sit out this one.
So, uh, I have moving on to the news here. There's a whole bunch of kind of new stuff with the Thunderbolts, so we're going to save that for half a second here to talk about the Punisher special presentation and John Barenthal saying that the Punisher special is dark, quote, "It will not be Punisher light. I promise you that."
So I sent you a video to watch. Did you happen to watch that
I did
video
not have
from
time.
IGN? Okay, so and this kind of could be some spoilers because there were some of the people that were working on the show involved in this interview by I think it was IGN. Um,
Working on the show of Daredevil Born Again
working on the show of
or the special presentation of
the
Punisher.
special presentation, I think is what it was. There was at least it was close
Okay.
ties to Marvel. So, um, what they're saying is that the Punisher, and I'm not sure how much this is part of the story, but I think it's woven in how the symbol of the Punisher has become this vigilante thing. Not only, it's not only the Punishers, but it's crept out into society, just as it has in our own real life society. You see
Yep.
people using the Punisher symbol as a almost like an icon or symbol for something that it's not.
Yes.
And so I think they're addressing that in the Punisher
Hmm.
presentation, which to me is, I think, an amazing topic and storyline to get, embellished in. So, if that is true, I'm really hoping it is because it
Yeah.
sounds fascinating to me and how I think John Barenthal has been a part of the writing on it.
Yes. Yeah. He
So
is one of the main writers for it.
yeah, because he's taken that, I think, kind of personally a little bit too, maybe. I'm
Yes.
obviously I don't know for sure, but it seems like that is something he has championed on talking about and having conversations about. So I think it's going to be a really cool presentation if that's what the grit that's
Hmm.
involved with that. So,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in the Daredevil Born Again stuff. But
mhm.
it'll be interesting to see how much Daredevil Born Again addresses with it, or is Daredevil Born Again with its with the Punisher tie-in, since we know the
Mhm.
Punisher is going to be in there, is that going to just be kind of that setup piece?
Yeah.
And I
Um,
kind of suspect the setup piece.
yeah, but what a great setup piece it was. Because
Hmm.
yeah, well, I don't want to
And
go into it yet, but yeah.
yeah, obviously it's going to be set up more too throughout this series.
Hmm.
So I'm excited for that. But let's talk about Thunderbolts. First off, the least interesting part of it, the Thunderbolts, or Val now owns Avengers Tower. We know that, and it's now called the Watchtower.
How much do you think they're going to have all along the Watchtower play in a segment of whatever in Thunderbolts at some point?
uh maybe, maybe if Bob comes in and wrecks shop.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That would be kind of that's good. I like that.
Yeah, that's why they pay me the big bucks to write.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Good. You had a good gig there, man. Good gig.
Hmm.
It's funny you don't want to get more rumors though and news.
I know I'm particular about it. I don't want to like lose my position
Fair. But come on, I won't tell anybody.
as we talk about it openly on the
I mean,
podcast.
except for when everybody listens to the podcast, but
Right.
that otherwise nobody else. Promise.
Yeah. And anybody listening to the podcast, obviously, that's all untrue. I don't. And Greg looks okay.
And I'm I'm a solid six. All right. Solid six.
All right. Then there was a new Thunderbolts teaser, which, my goodness, I love that teaser.
Oh wow.
That
Um
was phenomenal.
It was really good. And I don't I
It,
think it was just the music, the
hmm.
cuts, like the just the editing for it. And then it all kind of came together really, really well. But I was
Yeah,
really taken back by the Florence Pugh
yeah,
Yelena double up shot. Or like I don't know if that's another her. I don't know if that is so like incursions kind of thing, like something's happening there, or if it's a dream sequence where she's just I don't know. Is somebody mind controlling in a weird way?
yeah,
Because there's some weird shots, right, of her like falling, but
yep,
she's not. So I don't know.
yeah.
Something good's
And
happening.
yeah, well, and I tossed out the theory, and I don't actually believe my theory of that it's Taskmaster has been doubling and pretending to be people, kind of working for Val. Probably, if this is true, and this wild theory of mine ends up being right, Taskmaster probably has been doing some pretty bad things for Val, pretending to be other people, using their methodologies and stuff like that, because Taskmaster can mimic everybody, including Taskmaster would probably be able to kind of look like Elena, especially with the face cover technology that we've seen in Captain America Winter Soldier, and then we saw again in uh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And could could that be the reason why we don't see the Taskmaster ever in these
Right.
teasers or trailers?
Maybe we do. We just don't know it's actually her.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't. I mean, I just don't have any other way of explaining. And obviously, I can't. But
Yeah.
it was just. I thought it made me so excited that when that happened because I just my mind started going, what is happening with this? I needed to know.
Hmm.
So it it amped up another like five notches for me for this movie. Like I'm really excited about it. I'm really hoping it doesn't let me like it doesn't when I actually see it like get dropped down because I feel like
Yeah.
it's up there. I feel like it's going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
So
So that, and this is how they're teasing it, by the way. Writer director of Beef,
yep,
cinematographer of The Green Knight, um, production designer of Hereditary, directors of Minari, composers of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like they're throwing out that we have some big like
there's big
big
hitters.
names on
Yeah,
this. Come join us for this. And then they introduce all the characters and definitely do not mention Taskmaster
right.
in it,
Yes.
which just makes me think like maybe there's just maybe a chance I could be right, and
Yeah,
they're doing some sort of twist
yeah.
that way.
Or they're just officially giving in and saying, "Yep." she's gonna die in the first 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
you
Bob
know,
kills her.
right, yeah, tosses her into a void or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, so what obviously you get the flip side of that coin, and it's like you're mentioning all these big names that were part of these big
Hmm.
movies. I mean, is it just fluff at that? Could it just be fluff and to hype it up more?
I
Not that
mean,
those people
certainly there is an element of that
right.
where they're just like, okay, yeah, let's toss this out, but it wouldn't work if the teaser didn't look as good as it does.
Yeah. Has there been early screenings?
I have
Like,
not heard anything either way on it.
okay.
Generally, if people are really hyped for it, you hear it a little bit, but you generally hear it if things aren't great.
Right. And that's kind of I feel like that's kind of where I'll be able to judge a little bit better
Hmm.
as but right now, I mean it's up there for me. I'm pretty hyped for this one.
Yeah. So then I have some quotes here as they're starting to do press because really what we are on the 9th, so 2 months away, under 2 months till
Nice.
that movie comes out. First couple come from Florence Pugh. She says that it has an A24 feeling assassin movie with Marvel superheroes.
Hmm.
I'm not, I'm familiar with A24 production company. I'm not super, I haven't, have I seen any A24 movies?
Well, isn't that mostly just Apple? That's Apple stuff, like their production company?
Uh,
Or is it not? Am I
no,
thinking
no, you're thinking
okay.
something else. A24 is independent one, uh, film library. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, is their biggest one. But then they did Heretic, Moonlight, Baby Girl, The Iron Claw, which I heard wasn't great, Hereditary, Talk to Me, Lady Girl, Uncut Gems, and Civil War. Not Avengers Civil War, obviously, but
Okay. Well, I mean Beef, Euphoria, um
it's really
yeah.
kind of about their style is
Yeah.
what they're talking about, which is
Right.
the company, here's kind of a quote on it. The company distributes and produces artistic, psychologically disturbing, and mind-bending horror films. Um, Most of these films share a similar approach, including ambiguity, bleak atmosphere, disruptive formulas, outbursts of violence, psychological dilemmas, and realistic dark character drama.
Do, do you think is there like another villain that we don't know about in this?
I I think
That
we're going to understand that Val is the real villain.
well, I mean, like if they're doing
No.
some of this psychological thing, it just uh, something weird is happening. I think with like Yelena's dream. I just keep
Yeah.
focused on her dream sequence or whatever that
Yep.
sequence of events where the camera tilts and she's falling, and it seems like there's something at play. And so I'm wondering if there's like a villain out there that is manipulating something. I mean, it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like it would be the case because I think you have enough in the story already to add another villain would be,
Mhm.
I don't know. Seems like,
Well, and I think it could too just be psychologically the place that they are at, too, and that's what we're seeing kind of there, where she just feels really lost and is having kind of that conversation with herself.
yeah,
Um,
possibly.
Yeah. I'm looking up to kind of some of the different abilities of the void
Oh, sure.
to see if there's anything that makes sense, but it's such a long list, it's really hard to
Oh, yeah. So they could,
determine.
no,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, like that's interesting. Here's the second quote from Florence Pugh. There's a certain amount of beef tone in it that does feel different. There's an emotional darkness that we brought to this that is resonant but doesn't come at the expense of comedy.
Okay. So to me, that it just seems like it's focused around Yelena and
Yes and no. I don't think it has to be super focused around Yelena because now there are a couple Jake Schreier quotes here as well that I'll talk about.
okay.
But to me, it talks about, and I talked about this in the video that I did on the teaser, where it talks about how every, like, you think about every character here. We have Red Guardian, who's kind of been abandoned. Like, he's chauffeuring in Vegas, because Russia, he's not Russia's superhero anymore. You have Yelena, who, what, like, what does she have going on for her in particular? It's the same
She's
sort of
she seems a
thing.
little numb. Like she
Yeah,
seems numb to what she's doing in
yeah,
some of the other shots, right? She's
hmm
just doing the job and
yeah,
on rinse and repeat. So,
yeah. And then we see John Walker in that trailer where he's looking at the newspaper article about kind of how he's fallen out of
right,
grace.
right.
And then you have Ghost is a little bit harder to pin down. We just know less about her, but I mean, her abilities to phase and like phase in and out kind of make her a forgotten character. Like
Mhm.
she can't do, well, she can do a lot, but she's just like unreliable, so she would never get a full chance. And then Bucky, I think, is a fairly easy one as well because we've seen that he's running for office. We're going to see him at a gala. We're going to see him at an event rubbing elbows with other politicians. And he's just going to be struggling because he's like, I want to do something better. I don't feel like I can't go back to being an assassin,
Right. But how do you put
but
an assassin into a government position? Like it just, I mean, just for him mentally, like that's
yes.
such a shift, right?
Yeah.
That's
And so
so,
every character is kind of struggling with that. And that's why I think potentially we're going to, that's kind of that mental aspect
yeah,
to it and that emotional darkness to it. And then Bob, obviously, the character in the comics has some of those issues as well. But that's why I think Taskmaster potentially could just really have bought in on what Val is doing, even if it's not Taskmaster impersonating the other people. Like Taskmaster would be the character who would buy in because she's just looking for kind of that leader again.
right.
She's always been a follower. She was always told by her father to be a follower. She thought she had something outside of it. And we don't know if she was snapped away or not. But Yelena, who is kind of the leader of the Black Widows after that point, she was snapped.
Mhm.
And so
Maybe it's
now,
just like looking for like a mother figure, and so
right,
that's what she
or
finds in Val.
right, or a parental figure,
Right.
a parental figure who's authoritative enough to tell her what to do.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
so it makes sense for all of these. And here, let me talk about the two Jake Schreier quotes here. There's an element that does speak to mental health and loneliness, and how some of the darkness we experience in our lives can't necessarily be fixed, only, but can only really be made lighter through connections and finding others. So, like
Yeah.
all of them are in a dark spot. They're gonna
Well,
Val manipulates them to go after Bob, and then they realize that and they bond around that.
right. They're all kind of lost, you know, and it's almost like they have PTSD
Yeah.
from their own lives and their history,
Yes.
right? And they're all they work together, they come together because of it. So,
Yeah, I do like this last kind of uh, part of it's a quote, part of it's not. But Thunderbolts asterisk is inspired by the theme of obsolescence in Toy Story 3, says Jake Schreier. Can they get out of the trash together? Out of the trash
hmm.
can together. So basically, I haven't seen Toy Story 3, but I
What?
I know. It's not a Marvel movie. No.
I
Uh,
know, but it's so good. It's so
mhm.
good. It's the best
But
one.
it's the idea of Andy basically outgrowing his toys, correct?
Um, yes, that is part of it. Yes,
Yeah,
and they do have to get out of it's not a trash can, it's a trash like a compactor site
yeah,
where they burn trash.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um,
And so, like, I really get how that theme can work together. Now, all of this sounds really dark, but it's also a comedy. So I'm gonna
yeah.
be really curious to see how all of that blends together.
So Lotso the bear is going to be there, but he's going to play the purple man, like in Jessica Jones, because Lotso is purple, and Lotso is good. So he'll be the basically the purple man, and that's how the mind stuff is happening. Genius, Marvel, genius. I
Yes.
figured you out. You're not going to
Um,
enjoy that joke as much as the other people that have
yes.
seen Toy Story 3. So Lotso the bear is the villain in the story. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah.
Too late. It's been a decade and some, so it doesn't matter.
Now
Where do we go from here?
I need to I need to know when Toy Story 3 came out. Yes, it has been over a decade. So
Yeah.
it's been 15 years. Just because I know how well you do with time. So I was like, gotta double
Yep.
check. All right, but let's move into kind of our thoughts and impressions of Daredevil Born Again, spoiler free, of course, to kick it off. And shall I kick it off or shall you?
I have the only thing I gotta say about this, so yes, I'm gonna kick it off, is that just
Gonna go for it.
it started off for me. I I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I just was like, I think I was a little bit lost when I jumping into it.
Hmm.
It kind of glazed over some things, which kind of turned me off just a little bit on it. But as the end of episode one came around, and then as episode two came around, I found myself right back into the um, uh, kind of I was excited about it. I felt like I found my viewership place in it, and I got excited about it again, just like I had
Hmm.
been about the Netflix stuff. So overall, I think a little rough start, but I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think it was pretty entertaining. Um,
Yeah.
so.
I I enjoyed, yeah, the first episode really is kind of two episodes in some ways. Like there's a time jump in there. I'll just say
Mhm.
that. I enjoyed the first episode and the second episode quite well because I thought it set immediate stakes. It set immediate expectations for the audience. It set the tone and feel and that they weren't going to be pulling any punches for this, but it also felt violence wise like the violence really served the story better than I thought it did in what I saw of the Netflix stuff. The Netflix stuff sometimes felt a little bit more violent for like lingering on the violence for the sake of the violence, which timing wise makes sense because it came out around the time of Game of Thrones.
Sure.
So
Uh,
that's a show that was like, yeah, you can be successful just having lots and lots of violence.
yeah. Um,
So, but overall, I thought like narratively, it moved at a better pace for me than the Netflix show did,
yeah.
and um, just and I still felt like I got a ton from the characters too.
I
So,
I definitely agree. Like the pace of it is better. There are times definitely for sure in the Netflix series that I was like, "Ooh, this is really starting to drag a little bit."
mhm,
Some of the fight stuff in the that I could see why you'd say it felt a little bit. It's like not necessary, or if it was
mhm.
more for the I don't know, trying to just do it for the sake of doing it kind of thing.
Right,
Um, some of that was to, I feel like, really make you feel the pain that often Charlie
yeah,
Cox, or not, well, that
Matt Murdock,
Daredevil, Matt Murdock went through, and
yeah,
was capable of going through. But and some of it was, yeah, a little bit excessive. So in this one, yeah, I didn't really feel like it didn't get violent in a way that it didn't need to. It
mhm.
didn't interrupt the story at all. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
the
those are
violent
interesting points. Yeah.
Yeah, the violence to me was very much part of the story
Yeah.
this time. Like you needed, and we'll talk about. Let's move into spoilers here at this point. I
Yeah.
think it's fair to say that we both enjoyed the
Fair.
first two episodes
Yes.
quite well. So, oh, and I was gonna say I put up a poll, and we had six responses to said poll. We had two people that said they loved it. So 33% of the votes said they loved it. 33% of the votes said they liked it. 17% said not for me.
Hmm.
And 17% said I'll binge it later. Now, um, I can see why people would say it's not for them. It's a very violent show. If that's not what they want to watch from a superhero movie, yeah, I can see why that's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it may be a little bit too gritty,
Hmm.
too much, I don't know what, The
Yeah.
Shield or whatever else.
Yeah.
Godfathery. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm. Yeah, because it does feel it feels closer to a Marvel like an MCU thing than the Netflix show does, I think.
Hmm.
But it's still it feels different than your standard Marvel stuff. That's a good thing for
Yeah,
this show.
it might have been kind of why I started off shaky when those first half hour of this or so.
Hmm.
It was kind of weird, like the transition from the Netflix version to the Disney version. And maybe that's why I struggled a little bit, along with kind of some of the glazing over of things. I feel like they were trying to over explain, but at the same time, it was probably pretty useful and helpful information for those just jumping in, or obviously I hadn't watched the Netflix version or had been years since they watched it, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but it was weird just to try and find my place back into it. And like I said in the non-spoiler section there, like
Well,
episode two,
we're still in the not spoiler section, by the way. We
oh,
haven't
we
said
are.
spoilers, spoilers,
Oh, we
spoilers yet.
didn't. Okay. So it just felt like once episode two came out, I felt like I got my feet on this thing
Hmm.
and I that's when I kind of really started to enjoy it. So
Yes. So spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You have been warned. Spoilers. So, we can start talking about these things known as spoilers.
spoilers. Oh, good. Okay. It's official.
Yeah. So, I mean, should we start with why I called you Foggy at the beginning?
Yes, let's start there.
Yeah. So, Bullseye tracks down and kills Foggy.
Yeah, just I d- I didn't see that coming at
Hmm.
all. So kudos because that was something where I'm like, oh wow, that's quite the way to start it off.
Hmm.
Now, do I like it? I don't, not really. I didn't love it. I didn't love it because I think I didn't love it because I felt bad for Foggy. Like it was just legitimate. Like I'm like, oh man, I can't think of the actor's name right now who plays him.
um,
It's on the kind of tip of my tongue,
El
but it Elton uh Milton Berle. No,
um,
Eldon
Eldon
is
Henson.
yeah, there we go. I'm like, how crappy, and this is I don't know why I think about this, but I'm thinking how crappy is it that you have to go on this press tour, and if you're like you're literally in it for like the first 10 minutes and then you're done, and then you have to go through city after city promoting this movie or this show.
Yes.
Like that
It,
sucks.
it's it's funny. I will say, I mean, they've said he's coming back for season two.
Right. That was
As
my follow-up thing. So,
Mhm.
first of all, I felt bad for it, right? And so
Yeah.
for the rest of the episode, I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks for him. But wow, that really sets the stage for, I mean, if you're gonna try and cut down Daredevil,
Hmm.
and now this is definitely a great way to do it. That's a great way to start the story. Love it.
Yeah. And
But
to
yes,
push. Yeah.
they talk about him coming back, and I didn't know this until like yesterday, the day before. There's
Hmm.
talk of him being back in season two,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, and that is, I know, a part of the comic, which the address on of their business is 486, which is the issue where Foggy basically plays dead.
Yeah.
So that's a big spoiler. So sounds like we'll get him back.
Right. Now, is he actually dead or not?
Right.
Because I think there's still stuff that you could do in a season two where we get some flashbacks to like other cases they worked on
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
So
Well,
what do you go? Sorry, go ahead.
while still keeping him dead. And I'm assuming your question was, what do I want?
It,
Do I want him
stop,
back or not?
stop, Purple Man, reading my brain, you psycho. Yes, that's what I was gonna ask.
I want him to stay dead.
Me too. I mean, if they're
It's
gonna kill him, like
yes.
just kill him. Now, as much as I don't want Eldon's character, I feel bad for that dude,
Yeah.
but I wonder if he got paid, I guess.
He got
So,
paid for it, and if he's going to be in next season, he'll get paid more for those
right,
episodes. So,
right. So I kind of agree. Like it almost will cheapen it, maybe a little bit, but
I mean, there's ways to do it, but I don't think that Foggy Nelson is a character that is like emotionally, it's very impactful, and emotionally, it's very kind of important for Daredevil
mhm.
to have it because uh, Daredevil, once he knows that Foggy is dead, whips Bullseye off of the top of a building.
Which, holy crap. Like,
Hmm.
okay, so Foggy Nelson's expendable, really, in my
Yeah.
opinion, right? But he's only expendable because, well, not expendable because, but it lifts the story up.
Yeah.
But he's
Oh, and I
not
think
doesn't need to be in the story
mhm.
necessarily. And
And
well,
I think there's a reason
maybe,
why you remove him from the equation, though, is because he was always kind of, and this I'm pulling this from some stuff that Coy Jandreau and Real Rejects talked about, and then New Rockstars talked about as well, is he was always kind of the angel on Daredevil's shoulder from
right,
keeping him from going too far. And Daredevil, like Matt Murdock, hangs up the Daredevil suit after this fight with Bullseye because he knows he went too far. He doesn't have the priest
hmm
from the Netflix
Netflix.
series anymore,
Yep,
and he doesn't have Foggy anymore to kind of help keep him in line. And he's aware enough to know that that's the case. So if he continues to put on the suit, he will go too far.
hmm
And I think we see in episode two when he takes on the corrupt cops who are coming to take out that witness that yeah, he doesn't hold back on them.
right. That line was crossed, and like it's
Yeah.
now, it's just it's too easy for him to take it further
Hmm.
than it should, I think, which is, man.
It's phenomenal.
It's
It's
really
like,
good. Like
yeah,
it, yeah,
that that element of the story that is going to be played throughout here because I want to bring up the new character, Heather
oh,
Graham.
Heather Graham is actually an actress.
I know.
Uh,
I can't think of the name. It is
we can
Heather, right?
we can call her. Yeah, it is Heather. We can call her
Hmm.
Heather Graham. Sure, that's fine. Where's she at these days?
I
I'm
have no
looking it up.
idea.
Hold on.
You're looking up Heather Graham. I'm looking at the
No, I'm actually looking up the character for
yes.
Daredevil, but
Heather Glenn. There we
Heather
go.
Glenn. There, it's close. You're close.
Hmm.
Uh,
And so Heather Glenn is a psychiatrist who Murdoch's new partner for a law firm sets him up with. Basically, not to be dating, but for him to get some help.
right.
It turns out that Matt Murdock is just way too horny, and
Wait.
which we
Yeah.
see in he's the horniest MCU character.
It's it's true. But I think it was supposed to be for a date. I don't think
No,
she was doing it. I thought
no.
she
So
didn't do it for she told him
sh
it was going to be for a therapy. No, it was a
no,
client. She did say it was a client.
she
Yeah.
told him it was going to be a client, and she told Heather Glenn that like he needs
Right.
therapy,
But I think
with
that
which
was to get them both there at the same point.
hmm
Like Heather Glenn was going to show up there to help first,
hmm
and he was showing up
yeah,
there
that's
for
true.
so
It could be. I kind of took it as like she still was kind of like, ah, you need
uh
some help. I think it might have been like a little bit of one of those double-edged things of like, yeah, I want to set you two up, but it's also going to be good for you, Matt Murdock,
yeah, you
to
could
like have somebody who to talk to
yeah,
because he doesn't anymore since Karen left,
right.
and so set him up with a
And a
hired
little something something
psychologist.
on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what like it so uh continuing along with my thought which got derailed when we couldn't remember her name. She is also an author. And so she meets Muse in episode 2.
hmm
And Muse we can already tell is like fixating on her.
Yeah.
And so, as well as then, she's also doing the couples counseling
Yeah.
for Vanessa and Wilson Fisk, which is phenomenal. That was a great scene.
That was really good. Ah, it's so uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Um,
But it's like now she is tied into everything, and like what's going to happen when Muse goes after her? Like what steps does Daredevil take to get her back? And
mhm.
I kind of have some ideas about this because I think I think he's going to probably kill Muse. I think
Ooh,
he's going to don the suit again, and he's going to kill Muse, and or yeah, probably kill him. And then Fisk is going to take that opportunity to basically enforce superhero like registration or banning of
right.
superheroes in New York City.
Trying to outlaw vigilantism.
Yeah,
Um, It's funny, outlaw vigilantism. Is that those two things work
yeah,
together?
yes,
Ban vigilantism probably is a better
yeah.
way of saying that. Yeah, I just 2 kills for Daredevil. I just don't know if that
But
would.
it
I know he's already
both
kind of past the point.
but
Bullseye
both
isn't
sides
technically dead, you're right.
dead. We see his eyes open. He potentially has killed those cops.
Oh yeah, that was gross.
hmm That was so violent
Yeah.
in
Oh,
uh, in
the head neck thing, just this.
yes. That one
Um.
maybe even that bugged me maybe slightly less than the dislocated arm.
Oh, see, uh, that one, nothing tops the car door with Fisk.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm sorry, that was really gross. So, um,
But of the two in that fight,
yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah.
the arm, I think because it's the first one and it's so like centered in
I
that
think,
shot, it caught me off guard, be like, oh, and then the the head into the refrigerator and then the flip head first onto the ground is like, okay, well, we already went there.
see, the head on the ground for me was grosser because unless if I would have seen the side angle, I think of the elbow coming out, that might have that might have made me a little queasy. But the head on made it a little bit less. So the head neck snap thing just.
hmm
Ugh. Anyways, I think it's interesting. I think you're right. I think music gets Heather Glenn Ross Gary,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know if
Whether or not I guess, whether or not he kills him, he will so efficiently, like, dismantle him to a point of
yeah,
taking it too far that it gives Wilson Fisk that leverage to
right.
go after vigilantes
So
and
does
a
Fisk?
lot.
Do you think Fisk maybe? Well, Muse is really seems to be against the well Fisk or just
Yeah.
government maybe. So I was gonna say maybe Fisk gets him to do his some like Fisk has Muse kidnap Heather, right? Because Fisk is at a point where Daredevil may kill Muse and then he can put Daredevil, up against the
hmm
wall, but
Yep.
based on and because they'll probably frame him for doing that, but I guess framing him wouldn't really help Fisk. It's just maybe Fisk is gonna to be the
Right.
puppeteer in some of this, or
Or or Vanessa.
Vanessa. And right, because I think Vanessa hired the hit on Foggy. That's what
I
I
think so
think.
too.
And
I think
so,
she hired the hit on Foggy. I could see her trying to, like, looking at it as a way to kind of kill two birds with one stone of getting out of this couples therapy, having to pretend to still care about Wilson.
well,
Because,
I,
yeah, take out the psychologist as well as then, I mean, I'm sure it's still a concern in the back of her head of we need vigilantes out of there as well, so I can run this empire with my new boy toy.
right. And why not? Yeah, yeah. Why wouldn't Vanessa? I could see Vanessa being that she was in the world of art.
Yeah,
Maybe she connects with Muse.
yeah,
She gets him to do the dirty work, you know,
yes.
and she's the one that's puppeteering. Because,
That's where I think it's gonna go.
yeah, interesting.
hmm
Um,
And then and then she will just um she will she'll discard Muse like the second he's no longer useful to
right.
her, which could be an interesting twist on things of Muse takes her out. Like
Oh,
Muse takes her out and it's enough for Kingpin then to try and throw around like we have all these crazy people wearing costumes, giving themselves pretend names. Like if Daredevil doesn't go too far with it,
Yeah. I feel like I could see Muse killing Vanessa.
Hmm.
And then which then sets up Fisk to go on a psycho tear, right?
Hmm.
And somehow I wonder if it'd be where he blames Daredevil for something, and
Yeah.
then that creates more of a, just even more fuel to that fire, that
Hmm.
their relationship, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I think if it could be a situation where he, like Fisk, knows enough about Muse that he knows that Daredevil rescued Heather Glenn from Muse,
right.
but didn't stop Muse. Like Muse escaped. And so then he could be, yeah,
Or he has them both. Maybe
yeah,
Muse has both Vanessa and Heather. I don't know.
yep.
Um,
But then he just kind of goes off the deep end there.
mhm.
I could totally see that happening.
Yeah. So, oh man, where was I going to go with that? I like all that stuff. I think if we don't mind jumping, because I don't know
Yeah.
if I have anything else to say about that. I wanted to talk about the tattoo.
Hmm. And I will say with the tattoo, definitely check out the second episode kind of review watch along that the Real Rejects do to hear Koi Chandra go off on it. It
Oh,
is
does it?
phenomenal in like a
Oh,
really good way about how he handles it and how he talks about how it's like, yeah. But I won't steal any of your thunder
oh
if
no,
you
no,
have
no,
any
that's
thoughts
okay.
on it.
I only just when I was watching it and I could see that I saw the tattoo. I didn't know
Hmm.
what it was. I had to pause and try and zoom in a little bit, and then I think I had to look it up because I couldn't
Yeah, I
get the.
spotted it was Punisher right away.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you on 4K? I don't have 4K.
I'm
So
on 16K. The
60,
future,
well,
64K.
that's what those Marvel paychecks do for you. You get your big TVs and all that high
No, I was
def.
watching it on a 27-inch computer monitor.
Oh.
I was able to spot it, but
Well, I was watching it on my phone or my tablet. I don't know. Anyways, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's super interesting." And then it just seems like it's that seed, like we kind of talked about, of going into what the Punisher presentation will be about. But it seems like we have another group of people that are taking vi like another vigilante kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, or it's cops. Maybe it's all cops.
So it's from what I picked up from New Rockstars and Real Rejects. I believe it's supposed to be there's supposed to be a subplot in here that there's a group of cops that kind of are idolizing Punisher and that, which is all completely opposite of they're treating Punisher as a hero, and Punisher is not a hero. He does it, and he would not like people like using his symbol
Right.
on it. So Akoi does a really good job of explaining it all.
Yeah. Well, he is very well versed in, I'm sure, Punisher comics and all that.
Yes.
Um, so I had a question or a thought that, oh yeah. So after this, we see the Punisher logo tattoo.
Hmm.
This fight breaks out, right? We talked about the brutal scene of
Yep.
Matt just as Matt destroying these two cops. So where do you think this is gonna go? Like, if these cops are alive, they obviously know that it was Matt Murdock that absolutely just wiped the floor with them.
Yep.
So, or does he kill him and then does he have to get out of there? It was like
So I
this
don't
is the
think
kind
he,
of ending that I
yeah,
really wanted, that I really
yeah.
was hoping for in this show, is like to be on the edge of my seat for
Hmm.
this, you know.
So I mean, it seems like he would have had to have killed them, but I don't think he killed them because that puts him too much on the run for this series. I think it is a much more interesting thing if now these cops know that it was him, but they can't say anything about it
True.
because if they say something about it, they basically admit that they are tampering with slash going to take out a witness to them committing a crime.
Right. And I'm sure they don't want to be telling people that they got whooped by this blind guy, like
Yep.
whooped. I mean, I'm only
Yeah.
basing that on their machismo,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah, so I think that
It's a good point. Yeah,
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 and I think that's a more interesting story because now this group of cops who has the Punisher tattoo, they're going to be going after Matt.
yeah.
And Matt is going to be somewhat limited in his ability to go after them. But that's, I think, where we see this is going to kind of be set up for the Punisher special presentation, where
Hmm.
the Punisher is going to rid New York of this faction of cops,
Yeah.
of these people doing things that he doesn't consider justice uh, according to his rules.
Yeah, I think, and so the White Tiger, like he's had these cops, right, they attack the White Tiger
No, they
person.
attacked.
Yeah. Well, not White Tiger, but the person who is
Yeah,
the White Tiger, which I can't
no, they were
yeah.
attacking somebody else, and the white tiger intervened,
Sorry. That's right.
and then the one cop fell accidentally off the subway platform and was killed by a subway car train.
Right. So Matt has to clear that guy, right? It has
Yeah.
to clear the White Tiger. We'll just call him that because I can't remember
Hmm.
his
Hector
whatever name.
Ayala.
Ayala. I was trying to think of the last name. Okay. So, and I think by doing that, he can also maybe ward off, I think what happens or happened in that room
Yeah.
because he can hopefully put these guys behind bars, which then kind of gets him out of his hair as well. So, not that there won't be more for the Punisher presentation, but I think he just needs to deal with the
Yeah.
small group of cops, right?
He
So, I
has to
guess
make
that's how that could play
himself,
out.
yeah, he has to make himself untouchable to them somehow.
Yeah.
And that might just be putting the a couple of them behind bars. Those
Mhm.
two behind bars at the end of the season would do enough. But with our interactions with the Punisher in this series, we get the understanding of this is much bigger
Yeah.
and set up that special presentation.
I don't know, man.
So, yeah.
It's pretty good stuff. It's a pretty
Hmm.
good start to the series. So,
Hmm.
I'm kind of feeling Frank Castle will show up maybe next, just because I think he might have. I'm guessing that the tattoo was noticed by Matt somehow,
Hmm.
and or
It,
will be
yep.
noticed, right? Or something like that. But
Right. Yeah, will be
um,
noticed by, I mean, Cherry is probably the person who Matt will Matt will be able to identify the cops based off of
mhm,
voices or based off of people who are injured. So he'll send Cherry to look into them,
right,
and Cherry will be like, "Oh, they're yeah, those guys were always a little bit loose cannons. Um, and they've now branded themselves with symbol of the Punisher and are part of a group that has that.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that would explain it better than somehow Matt magically
seeing a
knew.
tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause you can't hear tattoos. You only can really see them.
Mm.
Does Matt have sense of smell heightened? I don't, maybe a little bit. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I think that's kind of all of my takeaways.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any other elements worth talking about because we already talked about Heather Glenn. We didn't mention fully that Karen Page is now in San Francisco.
Right.
She leaves because Matt, like, I'm assuming basically ghosts everybody for a period
Yeah.
of time. And so
Oh
while
yeah.
she's grieving, he is ignoring everybody.
Well, yeah, in
And
that conversation, like he
yeah,
basically kind of ghosted her as in the entire sense, right? Of
yeah,
just he detached and went into his own little personal mental shell and locked her out.
yeah.
So, um, so so that was my son saying that Iron Man's the best. Iron Man's dead. Sorry. Um, but I think and so yeah, so their relationship, which seemed to be on track for getting pretty close. Now they've separated.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm interested to see where she kind of ends up. Also, BB Urich. I think that's another
Mm,
worth mentioning. Just
yes.
Ben Urich's daughter, or is
No,
it niece?
niece.
Niece.
Yeah.
Niece? It was
niece.
Uncle Ben, right? Oh, is this
Yeah,
the Uncle Ben in this
yeah,
series, this part of the world? Okay.
yeah. And
Um,
I really like how uh they're working with that character. I like the person
yeah.
on the street, like just kind of asking around. It feels very natural, kind of like they did with the Daily Bugle, and kind of making that sleazy
Mm,
kind of show because
mhm.
it doesn't make sense to do newspaper journalists anymore.
No, you're right. It's got to be more social media driven,
Yep.
TikTok short, whatever you're gonna do.
Hmm.
I did really, I really enjoyed the Ben Urich that was in Netflix though. I thought that was a really good character. So I think it was cool to see
Yeah.
that they brought a
Yeah.
portion of that.
Yeah.
So,
Probably, yeah. One last thing I guess we really didn't talk about too much. We talked about Wilson Fisk kind of in connection with Vanessa, but beginning of episode 2, Wilson Fisk is now mayor of New York.
oh, yeah, I
It
forgot about
is
that.
very short, very quickly done, and we start to see him be well, what you expect a Wilson Fisk mayor would be like, which is digging up the dirt on the police commissioner to keep him in line, to keep him from resigning.
Right, because the person who was going to replace him, right, was,
No, it was the Fisk basically was coming in as like, hey, we're going to be hard on crime. But a lot of the police, including the police commissioner, know that whether or not they can prove it, Fisk has a shady background. And so the police commissioner was going to resign because Fisk wasn't playing ball with the police department or the police force, and a lot of the police officers would have resigned with him. So
hmm,
basically, gutting the and creating a city where crime could run even more rampant.
yeah. Um,
But I do like how he's chomping down on that cheesesteak and then shows basically the police commissioner that, hey, we know that you have a secret child.
yeah. Just
And
ever
the
so gently lifts up his sandwich, right?
rapper,
Yeah, wrapper in
yeah.
there. Yeah.
And then calls the sandwich disgusting,
Yeah.
which is phenomenal as well. Just like, yes, this is amazing, like great work by D'Onofrio there.
Yeah. It's doesn't meet his level of, cheesesteak.
Yep.
Um, it it's so interesting, I feel like how it's mimicking a little bit of what I think we see a little bit in real life too.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
So,
Yeah.
and that just so happens to be that, right? Like
Yep.
that's how it's timed out. So,
Yeah, I think there's
interesting.
a lot of interesting things that they lightly touch on
Hmm.
that are, yeah, real life, and then a bunch of things that are obviously just superhero, like very different.
Right. It's just so interesting how close I just the villainy in some of the things that are happening, I feel in the show in real life. It's just they're so close. Like
Yes.
I don't know. But anyways, I think that only plays well for the this series because it's a topic of interest for people,
Hmm.
right? And so I think
And
it gives a little more depth and a little
mhm.
more substance, its own natural substance to the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, and I will say, like, one of my biggest beefs with a lot of more modern books that I've read, like, I read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi type stuff, and or and a lot of the times when I read it, it's like, oh, you clearly had an agenda that you were putting into your story, and you actually forgot to write a story. Like, you went in being like, I want to cover X idea and you forced it into whatever story you had.
Mm.
This is not the case
Yeah,
here with Daredevil. This seamlessly fits into the story with whatever level of intentionality or not for the like direct kind of references to real life
yeah,
in there.
yep,
It's it is done. It's much like I was talking about with the violence. The violence is done to tell the story, not for the sake of doing violence.
right.
And these references, these things that are paralleling real life, are done for the sake of the story, not to be like any commentary they have on it is an added bonus to it, but this is about telling a story that feels real and authentic to the character of Daredevil.
Yeah. It's not as flagrant as like the boys do,
Hmm.
right, with Homelander, I would say. So it
Yeah.
just ha it's just like I said, it's just so happens to be how life is mimicking art, and in this case, art is mimicking life. So
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's the story's the comic book story is cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So, um, yeah, I I'm looking forward to it. What is it now? I was surprised it comes out on Tuesdays. No, wait, what days it come out on? Tuesdays,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Which took me off a little bit off guard.
So release schedule was so the fourth we had episodes one and two. Why am I just lost what I wanted. Couldn't see the calendar. Yeah. So Tuesday we have episode one and two.
Right.
The past Tuesday. Then next Tuesday we have episode three. The following Tuesday we have episode four. Then five and six. Then seven, eight, and nine. Ending April 15th.
Okay, yeah. So Tuesday, just I wasn't used to Tuesday being the release day.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that is different. It's normally been Wednesday. So I will try and be on top of it and do my watch on Tuesday, so 2 days from now. And
Hmm.
yeah.
It's hard when
Oh,
there's two, but
hmm.
yeah, because I'll want to watch both, but I'll probably have to space it out. But yeah, yeah, if you guys I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you've probably watched it already, and
Yep.
if you haven't, you should. And then yeah, give us some feedback
Hmm.
because Better
Definitely.
puts out a bunch of videos and I'm trying to do some shorts now,
Hmm.
and we'd love some feedback from you guys, what your thoughts are.
Yep. Yeah, and you can let us know your thoughts over on the YouTube channel at searching for 10 Minute Marvel there on the community tab. Vote in the poll. You can leave comments on that poll for why you voted how you did. We're always interested in good, respectful discourse around differing opinions, stuff like that on it. And then on X, you can tweet them to me at the Scando or with hashtag 10minmarvel, or you can drop comments over on the Facebook page by searching for face or searching for 10 Minute Marvel there. And yeah, we'll be back next week talking about episode three plus whatever news and rumors come out. Greg gave a few ways you could help support the podcast at the beginning, but we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/nerdologists, the funds that go to help improve the quality of this podcast, as well as the Multiple Equals YouTube channel, 10 Minute Marvel YouTube channel, and nerdologist.com website. But with that, see you next time.
Murdoch, Nelson, Page, and Ace.